what kind of strategies, at least economic strategies, are is Finland doing in order to come out of the economic crisis fairly on top?
What I am afraid of is that our industrial production has reduced dramatically. And that is not only due to the existing crisis, it is due to longer development. And we should get back to industrial production to keep what we have and even increase that, because it's in a way basic of economy. Everybody knows the problems, for example, what Nokia has been facing, and that has had an impact surely on our national economy too. The other aspect is that we have always, maybe due to the things we discussed already, the difficult circumstances, education has always been highly valuated by people, and that is one way forward to maintain our high level of basic education, but also to develop very, very high education and knowledge.
Okay, let me go back to you on Nokia, because this is I happen to have visited Nokia. I'm very impressed. Beautiful office.
So you know more than I.
One wouldn't know that the company had problems, but what can Finland learn from Nokia and what happened to Nokia? I mean, I remember when many people in Indonesia we used a lot of Nokia phones, and then at some point it kind of disappeared from the market, and I see that it's starting to pick itself up again. So what actually happened, and what lessons can be learned from the Nokia?
First of all, I would say that the whole story of Nokia has been a great event for Finland. That is the reality. I mean, in a small country, there was that kind of a company. That is
a global brand.
Global brand, one of the best at its best times. So, nevertheless, it's my idea about Nokia is very positive in that sense. Okay, they have analyzed quite a lot what went wrong, and maybe there was a kind of a human factor. I mean, if you're doing very well, you get satisfied.
Complacent.
Yes, and that might have been the mistake. I don't know, but according to some analysts, that might be the fact. So you need a wake-up call every now and then. Now they have got it, and they are waking up again.
Indonesia is familiar with the mobile phone brand Nokia, perhaps even more than the country Finland itself, where the company comes from. After all, back in the 1990s, Nokia mobile phones grabbed a big chunk of the market in this country with their design and technology. These days, other global brands have eclipsed Nokia's dominance. I talked to head of strategy for Nokia mobile phones at the Nokia global headquarters in Espoo to see what the company is doing to reclaim its former position in the mobile technology global competition.
And you have a museum of phones here. In terms of looking back and then, trying to catch up with the future, what are the major lessons that the Nokia has learned from its past experience, and so that it's something that they can avoid in the future?
No, I think it's one. I think very, very important point is in a way to stay close to the customer and stay close to the market. So if I look at myself, for example, I spend a lot of time reviewing, for example, user research from Indonesia when we develop new devices, new phones, and also marketing campaigns. And it's also about listening to operators, so working together with operators, for example, in Indonesia, to ensure that we have a good common message, integration of data plans and devices in a very compelling way.
I notice you have this wonderful quote here: "We only get one chance at today, every day." What does that mean?
Yeah, I think in a way the core point is that in a way we have to ensure that we keep on innovating. There is no room for resting on the laurels anywhere. And I think in a way if you look at the lineup, you can see in a way the speed of the kind of refresh of in a way the portfolio lineup and the excitement that's now created across the world.
Okay, the future of the mobile industry. where do you see it going? I mean, what else is there out there for the consumers that would excite them, that would blow their mind, so to speak?
Yeah, obviously there is a lot of things cooking in our labs, and this is basically the core of the innovation that is so crucial for this industry. But one thing I think you see clearly kind of in many markets is the quick pickup of internet and application usage and social networking. So this is a very dynamic field going forward. And if you look at basically the Nokia strategy with 3 key pillars, so one, winning an ecosystem together with Microsoft and the Windows Phone ecosystem. So obviously the notion of the broader product and ecosystem is an important piece. Secondly, connecting the next billion, really riding on the internet wave, and there particularly you see markets in Indonesia being core of adopting the internet. And third is what we call bringing future technology innovation disruptions, so keep on innovating. And I think these are 3, in a way, pillars that are really basically where the future is going.
Okay, and do you think Nokia is up to the challenge?
Definitely.
Okay, Seppo, thank you very much. And
thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck. I hope you can churn out with more and more exciting products in the future. Okay, here I am outside the office of Rovio Entertainment, and Rovio Entertainment, as you all know, is the maker of a very famous video game called Angry Birds. So I'm going to go in there and meet some of the Angry Birds and those very annoying pigs myself, face to face.
Rovio Entertainment now has more than 500 professionals in its offices worldwide, developing the Angry Birds brand to areas beyond digital games, such as films, merchandising and activity parks. Dan Mitchell, a director from Rovio Entertainment, tells me what makes Angry Birds such a global success.
The story itself, the idea of a bunch of Angry Birds, with these pigs, how did that come about? Because the characters are actually very, very different to what the kind of characters that video games came up with.
Well, and I'll actually take it a step deeper. It really started with an idea to kind of drill down to make the game simple and accessible. And the pigs and the birds became a way to manifest that in a way that, when you look at traditional games, you have to spend quite a lot of amount of time getting through menu screens and instructions. And really for us, we wanted to deliver a game where, boom, right across the bat, you could hit the play button and engage.
So what do you think is the sort of the main appeal to Angry Birds, that it has become such a global brand and
I think one of the keys is accessibility. We see from the youngest kids to grandmothers and grandfathers playing. And one of the great things is when you see them playing together. So when you see the moms playing with the kids and teenagers playing with grandparents, I think that global appeal is one of the reasons why. And another thing that I think the game does well, it makes it okay to fail. I mean, one of the great things to do in the game is sometimes when you might mess up a level, it's fun to learn and see what happens with each one of those. So that's definitely one of the elements that's important to us. And why I think the game is fun is we create an environment within the game where it's okay to maybe make a misstep and learn and do better on each level.
Now, talking about the brands and the way, obviously the company, since it first started in 2003, and 51 applications before one, successful game came up in 2009, and now we're in 2013 with all these merchandisings and other successes. I mean, how have you seen the company develop in terms of the culture and the kind of people working in it, and how has it grown?
Sure, and you bring up a couple good points, because one of the things that we learned with each iteration of the games that we did before Angry Birds came out was, we talked a little bit earlier before about the game itself and about how you learn each time, and that for us was with each one of the games before Angry Birds, it was about learning and how we were going to continue to take each iteration of what we've done and build upon it. Which all kind of culminated with one of the first big steps was Angry Birds. With that success and the culture here, we've really looked to kind of maintain that entrepreneurial spirit that came when it was original 12 people that were working when the launch
So
of
originally
Angry
there
Birds.
were only 12
Well,
people.
during the launch of Angry Birds, there was a team of 12 people that came up, and now we've grown to over 500 team members across the globe with offices around the world. So that growth, it's important for us that within that growth we maintain that spirit of creativity, that entrepreneurial spirit that really was born in those early days and has carried throughout.
Rovio came to Indonesia, like you mentioned last year, and I'm happy to hear about the possibilities of localizing some of the stories. I mean, it'd be great to have Angry Birds with an Indonesian theme or set in Indonesia, like for example the Rio version of Angry Bird. Is this something that we can sort of look forward to in the future as our cooperation between Indonesia and Rovio kind of develop?
We love Indonesia. Obviously, again, that's why we launched our Facebook Friends game there. And it's an important location for us to be there. We want to be recognized as the top entertainment company in the area.
Dan, in Indonesia, I mean, we are the fastest growing internet users. We're really big at social media, and in terms of market, the video app makers, they're there, lots of young people with lots of innovations and creativity. Now, what can sort of you share with these young people about how to succeed in areas where it's becoming very competitive, isn't it?
Sure.
Everybody wants to make that successful app, but what can you?
I think there's a couple keys. I think first and foremost is focusing on the fan. And if at the core you can make sure that that's always first and foremost, is making sure you find great ways to surprise and delight your fans. Everything else will fall into place. If you start with different objectives, it's our opinion at Rovio that you may not make it to those objectives. But if you can start with that core philosophy of fans and surprise and delight, I think you're well on your way. The other thing is kind of like we talked about before, making sure that even if you fall down 6 times, you get up that 7 times. Yeah, and again, for us, it was more about learning, not necessarily that those different iterations were failures, and it can't be looking at those. It's about learning each and every time. So certainly a key thing for young designers and developers and programmers everywhere is to make sure they look at every opportunity as a chance to grow and develop and refine.
Dan, thank you very much, and it's been a great pleasure to speak to you and to meet all our little friends, especially the kids.
Great. No, it's been great being able to share some time with you
Okay.
and talk to you a little bit more about Rovio.